A paramedic rushes into a small home. The body of a young man lies motionless on the floor, a needle still stuck in his arm. His mother is screaming, his friends are frozen, and another life is lost to a crisis that has silently consumed the United States. This is not an isolated story. This is the dark reality of America's drug overdose crisis. A crisis so devastating that it kills more Americans every year than wars, accidents, and even natural disasters. When we think of America, we imagine skyscrapers, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, and the dream of prosperity. But hidden in the shadows of that dream lies a nightmare that has swallowed communities whole.
More than 100,000 Americans are dying from drug overdoses every year, largely from the synthetic opioid fentanyl. But in recent years, no city has been hit as hard as Baltimore when it comes to overdose deaths. Special correspondent Christopher Booker takes a look at why. It's part of our ongoing series, America Addicted.
Drugs from Gouch, from prescription opioids to heroin, from fentanyl to methamphetamine, have not just entered homes, they have shattered them. What we are about to explore is not just a medical epidemic, it is a story of greed, neglect, broken families, and a nation struggling to keep itself alive. To understand this crisis, we have to go back to the late 1990s. Pharmaceutical companies introduced opioid painkillers, drugs like OxyContin, and told doctors, patients, and the entire healthcare system that these pills were safe, non-addictive, and a miracle solution for pain. They marketed them aggressively, sending sales representatives to hospitals, offering incentives to doctors, and spending billions on advertisements that promised relief. Patients trusted their doctors. Doctors trusted the companies. And slowly, millions of Americans began consuming opioids, not knowing they were stepping into a trap that would destroy lives. By the early 2000s, addiction was everywhere. Small towns in West Virginia, Ohio, Kentucky, and Pennsylvania became epicenters of what would later be called the opioid epidemic. Families lost fathers, mothers, and children. Factories saw workers unable to function. Entire communities began collapsing under the weight of addiction. And as prescriptions became harder to get, addicts turned to heroin. Cheaper, easier, and deadlier. But if heroin was destructive, what came next was catastrophic. Fentanyl, and a synthetic opioid entered the scene. It was 50 to 100 times stronger than morphine, and just a few grains could kill. Cartels realized its potential. They smuggled it across the border, mixed it with heroin, cocaine, even counterfeit pills, and unleashed it on America. Users thought they were buying a Xanax, a Percocet, or some regular party drug. Instead, they swallowed poison. Deaths skyrocketed. Today, more than 100,000 Americans die every year from drug overdoses. That's nearly 300 people every single day. Imagine an airplane full of passengers crashing daily with no survivors. If that happened, the world would panic. But because these deaths are hidden in bedrooms, alleyways, and homeless shelters, the crisis does not make daily headlines. Instead, it spreads silently. What makes this crisis darker is the human side. Every addict has a story. A soldier who returned from war with chronic pain, prescribed opioids until he couldn't live without them.
Since I was like 13, so 13.
Very young.
Yeah, it's been a long time. Like 13 years. This is my longest run.
This your longest run?
Yeah.
So you got some clean time under your belt?
Yes, 5 years.
5 years clean, Nicole? Are you serious?
Yep, but then I relapsed because of mental health.
Okay.
That's my problem, my mental health.
Well, some people say addiction is like the love of their life. They love it. They love it more than anything. So drugs are to you are like almost like a basic need.
Yeah.
Food, water, shelter.
Yep.
Interesting.
A high school student who took pills at a party, not knowing it was laced with fentanyl. A mother working 2 jobs who relied on medication for back pain until her prescriptions ran out and she turned to the streets. Addiction does not discriminate. It attacks the rich and poor, the educated and uneducated, the young and the old. But it thrives most in places already suffering from poverty, unemployment, and hopelessness. And here lies the disturbing truth. This crisis was not just an accident. It was fueled by greed. Pharmaceutical giants like Purdue Pharma made billions of dollars by selling opioids while hiding their addictive nature. They pushed doctors to prescribe, even when unnecessary. By the time lawsuits forced them to admit responsibility, the damage had been done. Entire generations had been lost. If we look at the numbers, the crisis feels almost unreal. Between 1999 and 2021, more than 1 million Americans died from overdoses. The rate of overdose deaths has quadrupled. Fentanyl alone now accounts for nearly 70% of these deaths. In some towns, morgues are full. Funeral homes cannot handle the number of bodies. And police officers, firefighters, and paramedics now carry Narcan, a life-saving spray that can reverse an overdose, as part of their daily equipment. Imagine living in a society where even public libraries and schools keep Narcan ready because overdoses are that common. But statistics only tell part of the story. To truly see the reality, you have to walk through the streets of cities like Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Portland. In neighborhoods like Kensington and Philadelphia, you will see something shocking. People lying unconscious on sidewalks, their bodies twisted unnaturally, needles scattered around them. Some are slumped against walls, eyes glazed, living in what locals call zombie land. It looks like a scene from a horror movie, but it's real life. The smell of death lingers in the air. For children growing up there, this is normal.
They call this the jungle. You either find a hit or you disappear.
This is home. Communities have tried to fight back. Rehab centers, harm reduction programs, and safe injection sites have been introduced. But the problem is bigger than solutions. Rehab is expensive, often costing thousands of dollars a month. Insurance rarely covers it fully. Many addicts cannot afford help. Others are arrested instead of treated, filling prisons rather than receiving therapy. And once an addict is clean, relapse is always lurking around the corner. Fentanyl makes even one mistake fatal. Meanwhile, the US government struggles to respond. Billions of dollars have been spent, yet the crisis deepens. Politicians argue blaming cartels, China, Mexico, or pharmaceutical companies, but the truth is, the problem is everywhere. It is systemic, it is cultural. It is a wound that America has not yet found the courage to heal. The tragedy also spreads beyond addicts. Children are born addicted because their mothers use drugs during pregnancy. Foster care systems are overwhelmed with children whose parents overdosed. Grandparents raise grandchildren, trying to hold families together. Schools face students traumatized by seeing death too early. Workplaces lose employees. And in small towns, graveyards are filling faster than classrooms. The psychological cost is immense. For every addict, there are parents who cry every night, siblings who feel helpless, and friends who live with guilt. Addiction is not just a disease. It is a shadow that darkens everyone around it. But perhaps the most haunting part of this crisis is how it continues to grow silently. Unlike wars or pandemics, there is no single breaking point